Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the latest Independent Gyms webinar. We haven't done these for a while, so it's good to bring them back, and we're bringing them back with a pretty beast of a name in the industry. So we're with the team from Les Mills today, particularly Carl McCartney, who's hosting for us, and we're looking at it's a bit of a meet the brand webinar, but we're also looking at the next generation of fitness. So the whole sort of aim of this is the shift in users effectively, so how our members are changing over the years and who we're going after now. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Carl. Carl's going to host you for the next 15-20 minutes or so. Any questions, fire them through the notes and we'll ask them at the end, but have a think and we'll go from there. So Carl, over to you.
Excellent. Thanks, Rob. Can you hear me all right?
We can.
Double checking the sounds is always jumping on webinars. You're talking in a room on your own. You've no idea if anyone's actually hearing you and listening. So I'm just going to share screen. Let me know when you can see this, which will hopefully be straight away. Just taking a moment.
We're almost there.
There we go.
Yeah, we're away. We're
away. Great. So thank you so much, everybody, for dialing in. Great pleasure and an honor to be joining the Independent Gyms webinar today. As Rob's already said, my name's Carl McCartney. I'm Customer Experience Director for Les Mills here in the UK and also for Ireland. And today we're going to be sharing with you some of our latest insights around the industry, how the industry is changing, and how as an operator you can win the next generation of fitness. So really the objective here is we want to talk about how the industry is changing, how there is a brand new fitness consumer, how operators should be adapting, changing, or risk falling behind, and a little bit about Les Mills and how we've adapted to thrive with this next generation of fitness consumer. Now, we will be touching on a few of the changes that have happened within Les Mills, just to give some more context, and we'll be kicking off with a bit of an intro into who Les Mills are. But really, this is about sharing the latest insights, giving you all of the information that you need to make the right decisions to remain adaptable and also relevant within your local market, particularly in the independent gym sector. So the great news is, from all of our club partners that we work with around the world and all of the consumers that we engage with through our Les Mills Plus streaming platform, we know that fitness is the largest sport in the world. 75% of consumers are doing some form of gym type activity, whether that be at a member of a gym, whether that be some activity outside. And in some circles, there is a theory that COVID and the pandemic actually accelerated people's attendance within health and well-being, purely because of the benefits that they had and also the time available. So it is a good point to start in that fitness is a great opportunity to begin. And really this webinar today is saying that fitness has only really just got started. But before we get into that information, I did say it would be a bit of an introduction to Les Mills. So rather than me talking you through that, I've got a short video to play you, which hopefully will give you some more context as to how Les Mills have evolved and how we're looking to change in the future.
I could feel the love, can you feel it too? I could feel it, I could feel it, You know I said it's true, I could feel the love, can you feel it too? I could feel it, I could feel it, yeah. You know I said it's true, I could feel the love, can you feel it too? I could feel it, I could feel it, I can feel the love, can you feel it too? I can feel it.
So as I said, rather than me running through who Les Mills are, I thought that video would give a good snapshot as to how we've evolved and some of the work that we've been doing over the last few years. But really, I want to begin with our personal purpose. At the heart of what we do, and this will sound a little bit different and one that we don't usually start with an introduction on any form of webinar like this, but Les Mills is an independent gym. And it started out in 1968 with the Les Mills World of Fitness in Auckland, which was our first gym that we opened, and we still operate 12 clubs in New Zealand. It's very much located into New Zealand because of the expansion into the global market. But I just wanted to remind everybody that at the heart of what we do, we are an operator, and we try and we test all of our products and programs in the gyms that we run within New Zealand. But really, to give a quick overview of our origins as a company, it started in 1968, as I said, with Les Mills, who's a former Olympic athlete and mayor of Auckland. He opened up the Les Mills World of Fitness. His son, Philip, returned from university in the USA in the early 80s, where aerobics was a real phenomenon and it really started to take hold. And he developed this series of workouts that were choreographed to music that would be launched into his father's gym chains. Now, this was a real game changer when we launched the first barbell program known as Body Pump into the aerobic studio. This was really bringing strength training to the female members already in the studio and attracting more men to take part in group training. Body Pump was launched in the late 90s, firstly in Australia, then expanded into the European and US markets. And this really built the foundation of our company as it stands today. And you'll see that there's a theme later on. The original concept of Body Pump was bringing weights into the group fitness studio. That's an absolutely relevant trend when we're looking at the next generation of fitness. So behind our personal purpose, we do have a why. This why lives within our business, and it's something that all of our teammates really subscribe to. And that's to create a fitter planet. We exist to create life-changing fitness experiences, healthy people, healthy planet. And at the heart of everything we do is this purpose. This extends far beyond how we create programming. It's firmly embedded in our company practices, from supporting UNICEF with the Workout for Water initiative to planting trees when our business grows or an instructor certifies in one of our education programs. Why is this purpose important? Because we want to help the world fall in love with fitness. And when we do this really, really well, this can be game-changing. When we bring people into fitness and help them stay within fitness, this ultimately helps them make it a special part of their lives and to create habits to change lives. Part of this is how we stay relevant with world-leading content. And as I said, we really strive to create that fitter planet behind that purpose. And in order to do that, we have to constantly innovate and change within our content. So our ambition is to set a really high bar when it comes to creating 5-star fitness content. And we've been doing this for many, many years now, and it's central to what we do. It's our product, and we aspire to do it better than anyone else. And we unashamedly say that. How do we know that it's working? Well, across all of our platforms, we have over 400 million plus consumer engagements through 130,000 certified instructors that deliver our content and 21,000 clubs around the world. So this is really part of our ecosystem to build up to that purpose, to create that fitter planet. We can help positively impact people at scale and help them fall in love with fitness throughout this network. Now, many of you will be familiar with some of our products, in particularly some of our iconic programming, whether it be Body Pump or Body Combat or even something like Body Balance. But all of our programs are backed by science and powered by science that fall into all 8 categories that are currently on screen. Strength training sits firmly within Body Pump, HIIT training within Grit. Body Combat sits within martial arts and boxing. Our dance program, Shabam and Body Jam, cycle with the world-leading innovative CGI graphics of the Trip through to RPM and Sprint, functional training, yoga, mind and body, and down to our youth product, our Born to Move initiative that we utilize to get more young people involved in some form of fitness activity. And innovation is at our DNA. It speaks for itself, and it's critical to position this well within every club that we work with. And it's a key reason why we partner with clubs, to stay relevant to the new consumer and give the latest content, marketing and support to enable that new user. Over the past 3 years, though, it's a fair comment to say that our business has continued to evolve. Pre-pandemic, we were a 90% B2B company. And what that meant was that we would work with club partners around the world, and that was where we would focus the majority of our attention, as it would drive the majority of our revenues. But that changed throughout COVID. Many of you will have experienced this as well, and consumer demands changed and the way that people were working out. So we are now a 50-50 B2B and a direct-to-consumer business with a platform to truly serve the need of this hybrid fitness consumer with evolving needs that is younger and much more expectant. I said I'd touch upon some industry insights, and the first one is that there is a brand new customer emerging. Many clubs around the world are seeing 100% attendance back compared with pre-pandemic levels. In some of our markets, we've seen this up as high as 150%. But the one thing that's really changed is that at-home fitness is booming. There is a 150% increase in at-home usage compared to pre-pandemic. One of the best insights that we can share with you is that the consumers that are engaging with fitness activities prefer a 60-40 split in club and at home. Many of your members will be attending 3 times a week, but doing 2 digital workouts as well. And we found this out through our global fitness report in 2021, where we surveyed over 12,000 different consumers across the globe in 7 different countries, engaging with them to find out what their fitness habits were. And the key point within that is that it was fitness consumers, not just Les Mills participants. And we found that they're doing this across a number of different genres and products. 84% of gym users also work out from home, and 98% of club partners said digital will play a significant role in their future operations. This is really key, and it shouts opportunity as to how you'll engage that new consumer into your fitness product. One of the biggest things that stood out for me is that the millennials and Gen Z, they really are Generation Active, the next level of consumer that's out there, make up 80% of health club members. So that doesn't mean that millennials and Gen Z make up 80% of the population. Around the world, we've found that 80% of the people regularly attending fitness facilities are within the millennial and Gen Z makeup. Because of this, we need a modern member mindset and change our thinking as to how we approach. So there's 4 things to look at here. Firstly, convenience. 80% of gym members want digital offerings as part of their workout plan post-pandemic. Secondly, they want connection. 58% of members report being highly motivated by the social aspect of attending the gym. They want flexibility. 84% of gym members want to work out at home. And lastly, personalization. Across every genre, across every industry right now, personalization is becoming key, particularly when it comes to adoption of technology within many fitness operators, and even wider than that, any operator that's out there. If you think about the way that you buy from Amazon now, the way that you connect on Netflix, personalization is key to engage with a certain product. 63% of consumers now expect personalization in a standard of service. So omni fitness is where we'll win. That doesn't mean that we pivot and shift straight into digital alone, but we need to be looking at a digital product offering alongside our bricks and mortar physical offering if we're truly going to win this next generation. I'll pause here for a second because this slide really resonates with me, is that whilst people are engaging in digital activity, nothing will ever beat live. We are social animals at the heart of our being, and engaging with other fitness participants, other consumers, other people in general is always going to be the area that we gravitate towards. So people in live group class experiences seek an increased level of individual exertion, enjoyment, and satisfaction as a result of exercising together in a studio. We found this through our global fitness survey and continuously look at how people engage with activity from a psychological perspective with all the research that we do. I'm not going to go through this slide in too much detail, but there's 4 key things here. How do you continuously create new products and test and trial? How do you gain club insight through a key account panel? Looking at engagement through our instructors and our Les Mills Plus community engagement. So whenever we come out with any insights, whenever we share it with partners, such as this on a webinar, we look at those 4 key areas and think, how can we give the best information to all of the people that are engaging with us on these webinars? So I suppose what you're really thinking is, how will I win Gen Fit? The fitness consumer has changed. Our product offering has vastly changed compared to pre-pandemic. And even when we're looking at pre-pandemic, a year previous to that, it's absolutely changed. And the best operators in the world now are adapting, pivoting, and shifting to adopt to this new market. For us, it's about innovating within our programming. So we test with the consumer and feedback from New Zealand, US, and UK. We have clubs that we work with around the world, not just our own in New Zealand, our own independently operated gyms. We look at other operators to test with consumers. So looking at new programs to meet consumer trends, engaging instructors, attracting Gen Z and millennials. How do we bring excitement to a timetable? How do we make it quick and easy to launch? And how do we drive growth? Some of you will have seen that we innovated into a new space, launching the Body Combat VR headset. This was a different change and a step change for us into a different world. So Body Combat VR launched in March 22, and we've sold over 500,000 downloads of this singular program across Meta, which is Facebook's Oculus platform, and also Pico, which is WeChat, a new massive global player that piloted in China and really engaged within this new opportunity. New Body Combat workouts are live on the platform, and 2 new genres outside of Body Combat VR are in development as we speak. One final thing is that you will have seen that we partner with Adidas. This is a partnership for the next generation. And whilst in its early stages, in its real infancy, we're looking to step this up even further across 4 key things. How do we become different within the category? I'm going to step back a slide. How do we continue to innovate within the digital space? How do we engage within Gen Fit? And how do we lead from a brand perspective so that we've got marketable material that we can partner with facilities such as yourselves in the independent space to make you relevant to that new user? So for the final part of this presentation, I just want to step back slightly and think about how we're innovating within the category and how we're doing things different. I'm not going to assume that anybody joining this call now understands and knows the Les Mills journey. In fact, I'd like you to put some of your pre-thinking and your preconceived ideas around Les Mills to one side for a second, because I'll talk about our training programming strategy and how as a business we've changed. So first up, when we think about our programming, just slip forward a slide here. We think about where the classes take place. So 3 key areas that we have is in a boutique studio, in a cycle studio, or on the gym floor or main studio. And many of you joining this call within the independent space will have a main studio and perhaps a cycle studio. Some of you will be lucky enough to have a boutique functional studio as well. So thinking about these 3 key areas, what can we offer within this space? But before we get into what we do, we need to think about our target market. All of our programs are designed with the consumer in mind. And you'll see across the top of this screen, we're looking at different generations, from the boomers at Gen W through to Gen X, such as myself, and then Gen Z and Gen Y, Gen Z and millennials into, Gen Y into millennials into Gen Z, the new consumers, and lastly, the alphas, the younger consumers that are coming through, thinking about youth activity as an engagement point. So once we've thought about who we're targeting the market towards, the next step is who is delivering it, and thinking about your instructor profile. One of the best pieces of advice that I give to many of the partners that we work with is tailor your program delivery from the instructor within a certain age demographic to the consumer that you're aiming for. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that a Generation W or a Gen X couldn't deliver to a younger population. We're not saying that, and from a diversity perspective would not be something that we stand by. But what we have found is that an instructor that's leading from the front of the class that resonates with the demographic you're aiming towards really generates the best results. So on screen here, you can see 3 of our international instructors: Cam Holland, who represents Gen A, D. Rowell at Gen Y and A, and Marlon at Gen W or Gen Y. So once you've got the instructors in space, it's about the product innovation from there. And we think that across 3 different genres, you probably have these covered within your club. But when we think about how you're adopting these and how you're launching them to your participants, are you really truly making the most of it? And are you gaining, or are you gauging your product offering to the consumer you're aiming for? So in the past, you will be familiar with many of these programs on screen. I did say I wouldn't presume you knew anything, but for most people within the industry, if they've been around for a little while, you'll know the majority of our programs, from Body Pump and Body Combat, Body Balance, our RPM, our cycle program, are programs that have been around for many, many years. In fact, 3 of those programs are celebrating their 100th release in the UK this year. We've also got other programs such as Grit, which was launched later on in 2013, Les Mills Core, formerly known as CX Works, and also Sprint, The Trip, Bar and Tone, which are brand new products and programming. There are 2 programs at the bottom of the screen here that you may not have heard of before. These are Ceremony and Conquer. These are bespoke design boutique solutions that have equipment associated and really drive that new consumer into your fitness population. So Les Mills Conquer is a box and run program using bags and treadmills, and Ceremony is a functional circuit-based program that you can utilize within a facility. And lastly, on the right here, you'll see Born to Move. That's our youth program that will continue to grow and evolve. And we've had some great feedback working with operators up and down the UK, led out by our business development director, Justine Williams, where she's driving youth activity in many different populations, in addition to the fitness operators core membership. So that's our core offering. But what are we doing to change and evolve? We're looking at new programs that are available out there. And you can see on screen here, some of these will be launching very soon. Some are still in the lab, as you've seen by the color coding. Our first cab off the rank is strength development. We're launching this program out to many operators now, and it sits in the group training space and is very, very different to our traditional programs. Next up, we've got Shapes, which is a combined yoga Pilates program. Then coming down the track, we've got other programs that are in the lab that we're constantly testing and evolving. So when we think about our innovation strategy, as I said, we're thinking about the consumer, we're thinking about the instructor that deliver, and how do you get more people, particularly in that younger population, into your fitness facilities, gaining the results that they're looking for. We're also evolving into digital space. Les Mills Plus continues to be a growth strategy for us, which is direct to consumer. But how this works with many operators is that we offer either an affiliate scheme or a different method to use that digital product to engage members and bring them into your facility as well. Then lastly, the two key things to look at: how do we get GenFit love? Well, this is all about helping you as a club owner, helping you win this must-win battleground. These are the members of the future. Many operators that I talk to are still thinking about the older demographic and the older members, which, whilst is an admirable strategy, is not going to be sustainable if you're looking at the next 10 to 20 years of growth. So how are you engaging this new consumer now? How are you listening to some of the insights that we delivered earlier on and adapting your product and programming to ensure that you're catering towards this demand? And lastly, it's really about brand leadership. Here, we want to talk to you about how we partner with you with the products that you offer, how we create real value within the partnership that we have with Les Mills clubs around the world, how you generate a strong instructor network. Recruitment is still a challenge in the industry, whether it's recruiting at a front of house level all the way through to PTs. Recruitment is still key. And how do you constantly change your product and demand for the new consumer that's opening up? I suppose what we're saying is, and one of the things that I'm really excited about is in partnering with the independent gym group, with Rob and with Amy, is that we can help reshape this category together. We're not going to do this on our own. We're thinking about partners that we work with around the world, from 21,000 operators that we work with. We can reshape this category together. There's some real synergies that we have within the UK and US market. In fact, when you're looking at the Les Mills partners in the US, the vast majority are independent gyms. So we'd love to take some of their learnings, how they've become profitable and sustainable, and bring that to the partnership here with independent gyms as well. So I'm going to pause it there. I think that's pretty much covered everything. A lot of information that we've shared there, but we're happy to share that information on afterwards. And I'll throw back to you, Rob.
Interesting deck, that. So I must admit, it's a bit of a change game since I was familiar with or experienced Les Mills back in the day. So thank you very much, guys. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to throw them through the chat feature, or if you want to unmute yourself and stick your hand in the air or your name out, then please do so. I've been scribbling things down as we go in. Whether they're going to make sense or not, I'm not sure. Some of them are statements, some of them are questions. So just letting one person in. The first thing you said, fitness is the largest sport in the world, and I think that's evident at the minute when we look at the rise of things like Hyrox and NFG, which I think is huge. I think that's opening up probably where the Gen Z are coming from. We used to go and play football as a kid, but I think a lot of them are going to the gym now. So I don't know your thoughts on that, really.
I think that's it. And when we say fitness is the biggest sport, it's bigger than football, tennis, golf combined when you're looking at people engaging in some form of fitness activity. I think it's into people's mindsets now. It's definitely within the psyche to change the way that you work out. And the change in the way that we consume content, whether it be Instagram content, YouTube content, or live in club content, people are looking at different ways to engage. whilst it has its positives, there are some absolute negatives around that, especially with a comparable sort of influencer image that people are striving for. But I think it's a good thing in terms of getting people active. And if we can somehow shift the dial, particularly here in the UK, from that 14% of the population that's engaged in some form of health club, we can move that by 1-2% each year, then that's going to have a positive impact on not just society, but also people's health benefits.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that 14-15% has always been a battle. And if we can throw in new solutions or tailored solutions that's going to attract more people to the gyms, you've got to start at the beginning of the funnel, which are the kids effectively. So the Born to Move program sounds quite exciting to build that funnel. So I look forward to seeing that one sort of roll out. Have you got any clubs at the minute that are doing particularly well in engaging with the Gen Zs? You got any examples?
There are some really good examples that are out there. We're just really stepping into this space, and we're calling this our year of Gen Z in terms of our generation active and how we get more people engaged. There are some operators that have really tapped into this and offering different opportunities. So thinking about women that lift and the ladies that lift, that trend on TikTok now has seen a huge boom and a huge growth. Looking at bringing lifting platforms into more convenient spaces. We see a lot of independent operators working in that space in the US. But we've got some partners that we work with really well. 315 Health Club that you're more than familiar with. Yeah. They've got some great results at bringing younger people through. And a lot of operators are utilizing that Born to Move link, bringing them in slightly younger, creating positive habits, and then transitioning them into the fitness facility. That's working really, really well.
Yeah, you mentioned about lifting platforms then. That probably ties in with, you mentioned the strength development program. I'm used to seeing body pump, not body power, completely different thing. Seeing body pump from my day. The strength development program sounds really exciting. Have you got any more information about that and how clubs can sign up if they want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So body pump is our core program. It's what we're renowned for. We're synonymous with body pump and launching that across the world. And the original concepts of that was bringing sets and rep ranges in a group fitness format that would introduce people into strength training. Now, the majority of those tracks are 3, 4, 5 minutes long. They're quite long endurance-based sets, but have some positive impact on muscular growth. Strength development is different in that it's a periodized program. It's only over 12 weeks. It's a 12-week program that starts at session 1 through to session 12 that looks at adapting along the way from core strength all the way through to power and different plyometric-based activities. But it isn't set to music as body pump is. It doesn't follow the traditional format of the tracks in line with the choreography. It's a very, very different way of training. It enables the coach to floor coach as well. So it's not just led at the front of the room. The coach in the room can jump down and correct technique with those participants. But really it's about as well those avid diehard body pumpers that have been going for years and years and years, and they never break through that plateau of the weights. Strength development will enable them to do that because it's shorter rep ranges, 10 to 12 reps with positive recovery in there, whether it's supersets or different elements. So it's a new way of training for us. It's been tried and tested, not just in New Zealand, but we had 3 clubs in the UK that had some great results at peak time offering strength development and getting new participants in that younger demographic.
I like it. I like the sound of that. I think that's very current, isn't it? Strength training is the trend, I think, at the minute. And all you got to do is look on Instagram. If you follow a handful of fitness influencers, you'll get bombarded by people filming their workouts. And it's never running. It's never cross trainer. It's always lifting. So I think it's very, very current. So I look forward to seeing that roll out. Assuming that if a gym wants to look at that, they can just email you or reach out to their local rep.
Yeah, they can speak to us, contact us lmuk.clubs@lesmills.com. That's the easiest way of getting in touch. But we're also, keep an eye out, and we're talking about this, Rob, but we've got a number of different events happening up and down the country. The first one in Manchester in June, early June, June the 3rd, where we'll be showcasing strength development. That's at the Audacious Church in Manchester. And other activities as well. We've got Ireland planned, we've got Scotland planned, we've got other activities there. So operators are more than welcome to come along and see it, or they can talk to us about it and we'll give them some more information.
Nice. I like it. And then the last real, I suppose, question or statement to me, one of the slides said, nothing beats live. And I think that's summed up from, dare we say, COVID again, from the COVID generation world when we had to go online. And the change in demographics. Yes, everybody was doing the online workouts, but now they've flipped back to in person. Have you got any tips on how to, I suppose, engage in the online world but without cannibalizing the in-club experience?
Yeah, it's a great point. And it was one that COVID shifted the dial and changed people's perceptions overnight in a positive way. It's not many things we say is positive around the COVID pandemic, but access to digital exercise really was one of the positives, and that tech acceleration, people adopting technology, particularly within our industry. And I've been an operator for many, many, many years. And that adoption of technology was always going to be a little bit of a, I suppose, a harder pill to swallow, because there was that fear of cannibalization, as you just said. One of the things that we've seen is that digitalization actually serves as an intro into fitness, facilities. People can dip their toe in the water without any fear of reprisal, judgment, or anything else. They can fail at home and not feel bad about it. And that's what we've seen as a real benefit. In fact, many operators that have a digital onboarding journey alongside a physical one see much better results in retention, purely because people have already started to develop those positive habits. So I think that's where we'll win in digital, is just getting people active at home, building that confidence and that habitual form of exercise, and then bringing them into operators' facilities. The other thing is that nothing beats live is a great way of saying it. You can work out at home all you want, but there's nothing like being in a fitness facility, being in a class, being in a gym with other people and feeling the euphoria and the exhilaration of exercise. And I suppose that the thing I'd like to share is, we talked about this, but back in October, we held the first big Les Mills event that we'd launched since the pandemic, where Les Mills Live took over the London Excel, where we had 5,000 participants taking part in fitness activities over the weekend, 60% of which are consumers that had adopted digital activity at home. So they were our Les Mills Plus subscribers or consumers from gyms, and bringing them back into that live experience. The feedback that we had was phenomenal, and it boosted the attendance back in clubs on a real positive level.
Love it, love it. Oh, that's pretty much all for me. I'm looking through the chat feed, so everyone's really quiet. So they're either don't know how it works, or we've covered everything ourselves. So I'm going to go with the latter. I'm going to say we've been very thorough in what we're doing. So on that note, if anybody does any last minute questions, chuck them in the chat. But on that note, Carl, I want to say thank you very much for hosting today. It's been great seeing Les Mills and even just the small plans of what's to come in the future. So thank you very much for that. Les Mills will be attending our summer conference on the 6th of July. So if anybody's watching and they haven't got tickets and they want to come along, do reach out. I think we've got you down as a little speaking slot as well, but we've got to confirm that. So we won't throw you under the bus just yet with what you're going to be talking about. But
that's fine.
Next time. So guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be recording this, posting it live. If anybody's got any questions, they can reach out to me or Carl, and we can put in touch with the team. And on that note, we'll see you all soon.
Cheers, Rob. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, Carl.